Hey everyone, I'm Justin with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're breaking down and installing the Red Rock low profile hard tri-fold bed cover, available for all 2015 and newer F-150s equipped with either the 5.5 foot or 6.5 foot bed. Now, you should be checking out the Red Rock option for your F-150 if you're looking for one of the most affordable hard tri-folding options that does boast the aluminum panel design to ultimately help keep your bed cargo both dry and safe at all times. Now, the big feature with this and essentially every bed cover in the category is to add a certain level of protection from both the elements and possible thieves. And I will say the addition of the aluminum panel design here with the Red Rock certainly going to help bolster that protection over, say, a standard soft cover, which can easily be defeated with a knife. Now, the Red Rock cover also features that extremely popular tri-fold design, which does make opening and accessing your bed a pretty easy task. Now, also worth mentioning, guys, is the fact that the Red Rock will be able to fold all the way up and against that rear window to access the entire bed at a moment's notice. And that's something that's not always possible with other more budget-friendly tri-folds out there. Now, finally, the Red Rock does feature that flush mount design. That's another biggie that I really dig because when installed, it's gonna make for a very sleek, very low profile appearance. Now, diving a little bit deeper into the construction and talking about the panels here first, guys, you're gonna find that lightweight but very durable aluminum material around a foam core. Now, each panel has been given a light texture. Site calls it a matte black powder coat. To my eyes, it's more of a satin black, but regardless, just know it's certainly not a gloss. Now, that powder coat is in place to help keep the cover looking good for many years to come, prevent things like fading, scratching, or chipping after use. Now, those panels are going to ride on the included aircraft grade aluminum rails. Those rails clamp onto your bed rails, and at that point, that's gonna make the cover very easy to operate, of course, but even easier to install, and we'll show you that in a little bit. Now, the Red Rock option does also include things like the straps here, of course, with your clamps. That's gonna keep the cover in place when you're only needing to access a portion of your bed. And then this also does include some kind of kickstand looking things to keep the cover up and against that back window while driving. Moving into our final bit here with construction, obviously the cover does feature weather stripping or gaskets on all four sides. Probably my one and only nitpick with the Red Rock option is that those weather gaskets or seals are a little thin in spots. Once you start getting into the more expensive tri-folds, you really notice a big difference with things like seals, the thickness, the durability, the material, all that stuff. So the thickness of the seals here again is a little thin in spots, but check out the reviews, guys. Honestly, that's a great way to get some real world feedback. A lot of owners have installed this and have mentioned having a relatively dry bed experience. And ultimately, again, that's gonna be a great way to hear from owners about installing this very budget-friendly cover and hear about what they think. Now, getting into pricing a bit here, guys, and because the Red Rock is offered in both 5.5 foot and 6.5 foot sizing, expect that pricing to swing a little bit depending on your size. The smaller option is gonna live in that high $600 range, whereas the larger 6.5 foot option is gonna live right around that mid to high $800 range. And ultimately, again, probably the most affordable at the time of this video when we're talking about an aluminum hard folding tri-cover that can and will flip all the way out of the way. But getting into the install here, guys, very straightforward bolt-on job. Because of that, the site's gonna correctly call this pretty solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, maybe an hour at most to complete from start to finish. But now what do you say we head out to the shop, give you our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown. Check it out.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, a panel remover tool, and a 5mm Allen bit.
What's up, guys? Today we're installing a tonneau cover on our F-150, so let's get started.
So our first step is to mount our 2 side rails. So we'll get those up onto our bed rail, and then we have 3 brackets. Now this part is gonna go on the inside here. We're gonna put our bolt through the bracket on our rail and then into the threaded hole onto this bracket. And then we also have an adjustment knob that's gonna get threaded in from the bottom. So now that we have our rail in place, the first thing we're gonna do is take our knob and thread it into the threaded hole on the bottom of our bracket. And then we can get our bracket. We'll put it up into the back so it pinches our rail into place. And then we'll take our included bolt and we'll thread that into the hole in the bracket that we installed. And then we can take a 5mm Allen bit to tighten down our bolt. And then we can repeat that same process for our front and rear bracket. Next, we can install our 2 drain tubes. We've got one for each side. So we're gonna be taking a panel remover tool and popping out this grommet, and then we can connect our hose and put it down through our grommet hole. Now, once we have our grommet removed, we can install our drain tube. And then we can do that same thing on the other side. So now I've lifted our tonneau cover into our bed so that we can mount this down to our rails. Now we have a piece right up front that slides back and forth. It has a notch in it that this bracket's gonna hook into. Then this stud right here, we're gonna feed our bracket through that stud. And then on the bottom, we have a knob that we can screw on. Now we can slide this over and get it mounted up. And then we can repeat that same process on the other side. So now our last step is to install our prop rods. Now it's gonna press into this little ball up here, and then it will clip in down here to hold everything up. So we're just gonna pop this in. And then we have a little clip up here to hold it when you're not using it. So let's pop it into that clip and do the same on the other side.
So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Red Rock low profile hard tri-fold tonneau cover for your 2015 and newer F-150s with 5.5 foot and 6.5 foot beds. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.